like nothing is wrong and just go along with it like you don't know anything. And so that's what they did. And they recorded it. They got phone calls of her basically extorting my cellmate. I am so grateful. Every day I wake up to be here out in the world, to have my own place again, just to be able to live life and just enjoy the simple things. Waking up to the sun outside and the birds chirping, and having a key and being able to walk out there if I feel like it, not having to wait until rec comes just to go outside for an hour, which is never enough time. Being told when you have to come back in, or no, there's no rec today. You can't go outside. Like just the simple things in life I enjoy and I appreciate every day. It's so easy to get caught up in a conspiracy and it's so hard to get out. It's easy to get in jail, hard to get out, hard as hell to get out. I was reminded of this yesterday. I spoke to a cellmate that I had in DC. I was in 2 jails on the East Coast, one in Baltimore, one in DC. 3 months in each one. She was in Baltimore as well with me. We left at different times, somehow wound up as cellmates in DC. She is Spanish, she's from El Salvador, but she was living in New York, as was I. She was living in New York when she got arrested for, I think she had been in the country for like 12 years or something like that, built a family, was working and everything, but she didn't have papers. Okay, so this is her second time doing this. She had done it earlier when she was a teenager. This is her second time doing it. So they were holding her, ICE was holding her. And her English is okay. You know, I can understand her. Some words she would have to ask me about, you know, how do you say such and such? And I would help her a little bit with English. So every time she needed to speak to her lawyer, she would call her lawyer's office, and she had an interpreter that she would always liaise through to converse with her attorney. She hardly ever spoke to the attorney. So we're in DC now, she wanted to move. This is summer of 2019. She wanted to move back to Baltimore. She said, oh, I have to get my husband to pay $3,000. I said, hold on, wait, what? For what? She said, because that's how much it costs to move. And I said, no, it doesn't. The marshals move me, they don't charge you. That's what they do. Like, they are in charge of transporting you. They have to move you. They're not gonna charge you. What are you talking about? She said, no, because I have a paid lawyer. That's why I have to pay. And I said, no, I don't think that's how it works. So, ironically, I had court coming up the following week, and I had to go from DC to Baltimore. I told her to write a letter, send it to your lawyer, and ask him about the procedure about being transferred. See if he'll get your letter directly without having to go through the interpreter. So before I went to court, I asked her, do you want me to ask when I go? Do you want me to find out for you? And so she said, okay. So I did that. You know, the marshals had me in holding, waiting for me to go to court. They were taking, a woman came in and she was taking the cuffs and the shackles off my feet and waist. So I asked her, I said, can I ask you a quick question? I have a cellmate. Her interpreter said, yada, yada, yada. You know, does that make sense? I've never heard anything like that. And the lady said, what's her name? What's her cell, that you're in? And I told her all the information. She left and went to the computer. She came back with a printout, and she knew exactly who I was talking about. She was like, oh, this person, such and such. Oh, okay, yeah. Her lawyer is this guy right here. And I said, well, I don't think it's the lawyer that told her that. I don't think she hardly ever gets to speak to the lawyer. I think it's the interpreter that works with the lawyer. I don't know her name. And so she said, okay, I'm going to pass it on to the prosecutor and have him look into it. Long story short, it didn't take, but by the time I got back from court that day, in the evening you get back. So, you know, you're gone all day long. I probably got back 4, 5, 6 o'clock. She was mad at me. She was mad because she had already gotten word that she had to go to court the next day. The prosecutor arranged for a private meeting for her to come to court and discuss the situation. So, in that short amount of time, they had already made the phone calls, did what they needed to do, contacted her lawyer, contacted the prosecutor in the case, made arrangements for the jail to bring her to court the next day, and now she was mad at me because she had to get up. You gotta get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, even though you're not going anywhere until like 8 or 9. You still have to get up and wait around and wait around and wait. You know what I mean? So she was mad that she had to now go through this process. She went to court, she came back from court, and she was talking about how they were questioning her.
Maybe.
Maybe. So we've gone from no to maybe.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes?
I'm feeling confused.
Is there something you'd like to tell us?
No. Yes. No. Yes.
And she didn't want to say anything because she didn't want to get the lady in trouble. She didn't quite understand where everything stood, and she still wasn't certain that, she didn't understand that she was being taken advantage of. This is the article about the lady. I just found out about this yesterday. Laurel woman facing federal charges for 3 separate fraud schemes. Wow. Bank and wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and illegal possession of stolen mail. She was busy. She was doing the most. So this lady, she was the interpreter for my cellmate. She put in a request to be transferred, but not directly herself. She did it, called the law firm, her lawyer's office. She always speaks to the same interpreter woman. The woman said, this is what needs to happen. You need to pay $3,000 and I could put in a transfer for you to be moved back to the Baltimore jail while you await court. And when she told me that, I said, nope, that's not even right. That's not how it goes. According to the affidavit filed in support of criminal complaint beginning in 2017 and continuing through May 2020, she orchestrated 3 separate fraud schemes involving multiple victims and losses of more than $142,000. The first one, identity theft scheme, in which stolen checks was deposited into various bank accounts. Then the money was withdrawn by her. Then a credit card fraud scheme in which she impersonated American Express customers, ordered emergency replacement cards in their names, and then had those cards mailed to her address. Like, why would you setting yourself up to be caught? That's a paper trail straight to you. And then this is the one that I unraveled. So it looks like they were looking at her already for these other schemes. They did not know about this third one until I said something. While working at a criminal defense law firm, she fraudulently posed as an attorney and convinced the law firm's clients, one of the clients being my cellmate, to send her money for services she could not and did not provide. So basically, I know the service was being transferred from one jail to another, $3,000 each time. She paid it once. She was attempting to get her to pay it again when I got wind of it. And then the other service, I know that she had the girl's husband pay her for his license was suspended. She said she could get it reinstated, that he needed to pay her a certain amount of money. She would handle it. She did not handle it. His license was still suspended even after he paid the money. And then another service was something to do with immigration forms to be filled out and filed on her behalf, my cellmate's behalf. So she charged a separate amount for each of these things, a couple of $1,000 for this, another couple of $1,000 for that. I don't know if she did this to other people, but I know, just the two of them, this couple, she probably at least got 10, 12, 15,000, something like that out of them. Turned out that they started an investigation. Now I see from the article that she had been under investigation already, unbeknownst to me or even my cellmate. We didn't know that she was already doing shady stuff. They didn't know about this scheme she had going on with the attorney's clients. I don't know if there were other clients, but my cellmate being one of the clients, they didn't realize that this was happening. Had I not said something and brought it to their attention, they would not have known that she was scamming victims in jail, basically. And so they started recording the phone calls in the jail. They told her, my cellmate, keep talking to her. Keep talking to her as you would all the time. Call her like you would regularly. We don't want to hear her ask you for the money, ask you to send the money. Don't act like nothing is wrong and just go along with it like you don't know anything. And so that's what they did. And they recorded it. They got phone calls of her basically extorting my cellmate. So my cellmate just got out. This is June that I'm in now. She got out in March. Time served, she said 23 months she was in there total. The irony of it all is that they arrested the interpreter lady, I think sometime in 2020. So this is summer of 2019 when we were uncovering this. She got arrested less than a year later, and now my cellmate was in DC. She's back in Baltimore where she wanted to be, because it's a little bit closer for her husband to drive from New York to visit her. So they put the lady in the same Baltimore jail. So now they're in there together. Baltimore is very small, the federal jail, because they don't have one for women. So what it is it's a small jail that used to be Supermax for men. And so now it's still a men's jail. And it's still the mechanics of a Supermax. So the conditions are horrible. And the area they have carved out for women is small. It's only enough for 20 women to be there. And the rest of the building is men. The movement for women is very regulated. There's not many places for you to go because they want women to just stay in this one area. So the men, they have a bigger area to go out and have their recreation. They can work, they can move around the jail, they can work in the library, they can work in the kitchen, they can do other things. The women, they can't do that. They don't give them jobs in the kitchen, they don't let them move around the jail. You're escorted to go to your medical and everything because they don't want you coming in contact with the men. The area that you go out for the women's, for rec, is just a small cage. The space for the 20 women is really small too. It's just 2 levels. The common area where the TV is and where, you sit and you eat, there's only like 5 tables basically. It's so small. So the 2 of them being in this space together and one being responsible for the other one being there. It's just, I can't imagine the tension. And there's really no place to go. It's either you're gonna be in your room upstairs or I'm gonna stay down here, and when you come out, I'm gonna go in. Like you just cannot avoid each other. You can't. So I can't imagine how that was to live like that. But anyway, she got out in March. The other lady is still there. She's there. She's gonna be there for a while, I believe. And it says, if convicted, she faces a maximum of 30 years for bank fraud, a maximum of 20 for the wire fraud, a maximum of 5 years for the possession of the stolen mail, and then a mandatory 2 in federal prison for consecutive to any other sentence for the aggravated identity theft. It's hard to say what she'll actually do. She won't do anywhere near these numbers, guys. You know, when they say faces a maximum sentence of 30, what they're not saying is that the low end of it could even be 6 months. The low end of it could be 2 years. You know what I mean? So this is as high as that it could go. She's not going to do nowhere near 30 because it goes by the amount of money involved. They said the amount of money was like, I think 142,000 altogether. There's a chart. There's a chart that you could calculate your offense level based on the loss to victims, and how many victims there were adds on to that amount, and the severity of the crime. There's different variables that will push it up or push it down, but I know it's not going to be anywhere. You would have to be in the millions of dollars of loss in order to come anywhere near 30 years. Because I know someone, she got sentenced to 22 years. The area of loss is hundreds of millions of dollars, I think. So she won't get anywhere near that. What she will definitely do, this aggravated identity theft charge is a mandatory 2 years. She's definitely going to do the 2 years on that. And then the mail fraud, the stolen mail thing, she's going to have to do something on that. Maybe 1 year for that one. And then I had this one, the wire fraud, going up to 20 years, and I did 6 months. So, you know, that could be anything. She's not going to do 20 for that either. Altogether, I bet you she does less than 5 years. I'm just grateful. Every time I think about the people that are still there, like I'm here, and it could have went any way. I could be there still too. Like I caught a couple of breaks. The prosecutor in my case, the original prosecutor, my case is really old, from 2011. I didn't get picked up until 2019. I had a warrant for 8.5 years, and the prosecutor, the original one from 2011, retired. So in 2019, when they finally picked me up on this warrant, it was a Home Prosecutor. He knew nothing about this case. He had to go and dig out the files and read and get caught up to date on my case. Basically, he just wanted to get rid of this case, right? He wanted to be done with it. He didn't want it on his desk. He didn't want to take up too much of his time. So the fact that it was an old case played in my favor of me getting less time. The fact that I was already low in the totem pole of people involved in the case, there were 4 people. I was the last at the bottom, as in there might have been someone else that higher up in corporate that he could have charged had he figured out who that person was working on the inside of this company, but he could never figure that out. So that there was somebody higher up that could have been arrested, never was. And so when I got brought in, they thought I was the person at the top that they couldn't reach. But in fact, I was not that person. I was the person at the lower end who was not aware of everything that was going on in the upper echelons of the scheme. I was at the lower end, and I only knew what I knew. And what I knew was little, you know what I mean? My participation in it was little. So I got a minor role reduction. That played in me getting less time as well. And then the fact that I uncovered this woman and her scheme, that also got me extra time off as well. So I could have been one of those people that got caught up and was still in jail. Like, it happens. People go in there and things happen, so you really have to be on top of it. You have to be aware of what's going on in your case. If you're not paying attention, you could get more time than necessary. Like the wording, the legalese of it all. You have to understand what's happening, and you can't rely on your attorney either to just be the one that is like handling everything because you think he's an attorney. No, he has other cases, he has files, he has other people, and he's one person. You have to be responsible to know what's going on in your own case so you could help him help you. There's a book. You have to read this book. Tell anybody that has a federal case, they have to read Busted by the Feds. In plain English, not legalese terms, it's gonna break down things to make you understand in layman's terms what's going on, so that you can converse with your attorney on a much higher level than what you would be. Instead of coming in the room and wasting 20 minutes of time asking certain questions and he has to explain, you come in at a higher level of understanding. So now the time that you have with him is more meaningful and more productive. You already know the terminology. You already know what your charge is. You've already looked up your offense level, what it could be, pertaining to the charge and the amount of time that you're facing. He doesn't have to go and explain all of this to you. That takes so much time just to get you up to speed, to understand what's going on so that you can make an educated decision about what he should do next. What do you want him to do? How do you want him to proceed? You need to read. You need to read. It's easy to get in there and get depressed. It's easy to, be caught up and conflicted with what's going on out in the world because you got kids out there, because you have left your loved ones or a significant other, and you're calling home every day, and those things are out of your control. What you can control is what's in front of you. That's your case. Work on that. Focus on that so that you could get out sooner and get home quicker. You need to read. You need to study. You need to ask questions. You need to research. You need to look up case law. If you could get to the library, you need to do that. All of those things are being productive. It's not being productive to play cards every day, all day. Yeah, you need a little break and you need something to make the time pass. You could play cards for an hour or so. Don't get caught up in sitting at the card table for 8 hours though, when you could be more productive. Don't get caught up in watching TV. Don't get caught up in the drama of what's going on with this person's business and that person's business. No, focus on you, because that's the only way you're gonna get out.
That's the same way I feel. That's what I've been trying to tell everybody.
That's what I did. I read, this book is really thick, Busted by the Feds, but I stayed in that book for like 5 days straight. You saw me with the book at breakfast. You saw me with it at lunchtime. I took it outside to rec with me. I had a pen. I was underlining stuff. I had a pad. I was writing down questions that I wanted to ask my attorney. And I'm the one that found out that I could get a minor role reduction. I'm the one that brought it to the attorney's attention. Not to say that he wouldn't have, or that I might not have gotten it. I may have anyway. Maybe, but I'm the one that found it first and asked him about it. Hey, do I qualify for this minor role reduction? That's 2 points off. 2 points off means instead of being at a level, I think I started off at 22, now I can come down to 20. You get another 2 points off if you plead guilty, if you accept responsibility. That brings me now down to 18. You see what I'm saying? That's a big difference. 4-point reduction down is already starting you off at like, you're talking months apart. If you're in a higher offense, a higher category level, it could be years apart between those 4 points. So you really gotta understand how to read this chart. Like the book teaches you that. I already knew how because I worked in a criminal law firm before, but some people, if they're starting from scratch, this book, Busted by the Feds, an absolute great starting point to get you up to speed and quick. And it's great for any kind of federal charge, whether it's white collar crime, whether it's a drug crime, whether it's a sexual crime, anything. Everything, the book covers it all. I have a link to a video where I actually show the chart and I explain how to interpret the chart and what it means. The link to that video will be in the description, and I'm gonna make that video follow this one. So if you get to the end, click the next video if you wanna know. People are in jail from all over. They just pluck people anywhere in the world and bring them here. There's so many people incarcerated in America, more than any other place. I was in there with someone, she was from Israel. She was, the company she worked for, they said defrauded investors from binary options, and I forget how many millions. She got 22 years. She took it to trial. She did not know. She said she was innocent. She worked there. She didn't perpetrate the fraud. She didn't know what was going on. However, her position in the company, I guess they assumed she should be responsible. She should not have took it to trial. She did not understand the laws here and how the criminal system works, especially with the federal government. You really can't take it to trial and win. I think there's a very slight percentage of people that may take it to trial and win. I've never heard of that happening though. The government has so many resources to throw at you. You can't possibly compete. How can you compete? They have money. They can have hire experts. They get witnesses. They flew people that worked in her company. They flew them from Israel here in order to testify against her. How can you compete with that? So she lost. You know, they offered her a plea. Had she accepted the plea, she would have gotten out right then, or time served for the amount of time she had been in thus far. But she's now in California, in Dublin, and she's doing, I think she has 17 or so more years to go. Somebody from Arizona, somebody from Alabama, they went online to some website, something to do with kids and some kind of sexual charge they had. They made a comment or downloaded a picture or uploaded a picture, did something. Anyway, it could have been the server. The server for the site that they were on could have been in Maryland, and that's why they were brought from Alabama or in Arizona to Maryland. It could be any small thing like that will land you in a whole other state across the country. Like, it's crazy the amount of people that are in there and places that they've never even been, but they have a charge there. Like, I had never been to Maryland. I was living in New York, and I had a charge in Maryland. Like, it doesn't even make sense. You can't even comprehend, like, wrapping your head around how is this happening to me. It's deep. I met her when I was being transferred in Oklahoma. She worked for Nike, and she was some type of account executive. For some reason, she thought she could take money from a bank somewhere, Australia, maybe Hawaii, someplace really far away. She took $500,000 out of this account and transferred it to her own. Why would you, to your own? Like, you just asking to be caught. That's a paper trail right to you. Like, I don't know how that makes sense. But anyway, there was a girl in Baltimore. She got shot. She was in the hospital on life support. Not sure if she was gonna make it or not when they came to arrest her. They had her handcuffed to the bed and they wanted to take her out. She said they wanted to take her out of the hospital and take her to jail. But she was shot in the face, all this was bandaged up. She had just had surgery, and the doctors had to fight with the federal officers. Like, wait a minute, you can't take her. If you take her off the machine, she's gonna die. Like, they don't care. They want to get you into their custody as soon as they possibly could get their hands on you. They don't care what corner of the world you're in. They don't care what condition you're in. They just want to bring you to jail. That's what they want to do. And once you get in, it's so hard to get out. It's so hard to get out.